right. Hi everyone. Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining or watching. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about change. I posted something yesterday that shared I was sharing that, for years now I have been buying food on Wednesday nights and like buying food out. And the reason is because Wednesday night is our busiest night of the week. Just kids extracurriculars, getting done with work stuff later. We're always out later. And for a long time, I think I said years, and this is live, so now you guys know how long, but this has been going on, and all the time I'm like, oh gosh, I've got to prep food before. Why do I keep doing this? I'm so sick of buying food Wednesday nights. Like, I don't want to keep doing this. And then Wednesday night comes again, and yet again, I haven't prepared anything, and everyone's hungry. And on the way home, we stop and get food, and over and over and over again. So I've now gone 2 weeks in a row of getting food in the crock pot so that we could just come straight home and not stop and buy food. And there was dinner ready to go. It was miraculous. And that one simple action step that I took, it completely has changed our Wednesday nights for the last 2 weeks, just like I anticipated it would. I'm not frazzled. We can sit down and eat together. Kids are in showers at a better time. Kids are in bed at a better time. Like, everything is better. Why has it taken me so long to take this one action step that it's simple, right? You probably put food in the crock pot all the time. And like, why did this take me so long to do? So I've been thinking a lot about change, and I feel like this comes to mind just with our bodies and our hormones and how our bodies are changing in perimenopause, because it's like we tend to not take action no matter how bad we feel, and we just go on and go on and stay stuck in this cycle. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you were exhausted in your 30s, and then you got to your 40s and you reach perimenopause, and now you're still exhausted. Maybe you're even past that and you're in early menopause, and you just continue to be exhausted over all these years, and you just deal with it and you stay stuck in this cycle. Maybe it's not fatigue. Maybe you get super irritable and you have mood swings and you just don't know how to get out of this place. And then again, you reach perimenopause and all of these things start happening, and we proceed on in our day-to-day routine and we just deal with it. And a lot of times we know that the action we need to take isn't that hard. Maybe it is hard. Maybe it is maybe it is something simple like putting food in the crock pot. But maybe it's not. But either way, oftentimes we know there's an action step to take, yet we still don't do it. And, I talk to my clients a lot about exploring why that is. What is that barrier? What is that resistance to making a change? And it's it's crucial that we get down to that nitty gritty of what is prohibiting the change so that we can overcome it and move forward, right? If that change or if that barrier still stays in place, like, we're not going to get the long lasting change that we want. You know, let's use my crock pot example. So I've been thinking about why did it take me so long to take this action step? And as I dug and I dug and I dug into really my subconscious, because I can say superficial things like, well, I didn't have time. Okay, well, why didn't you make time? Because you make time for other things. So there's still a deeper reason. And I think the reason I've got down to, I think that my perception of it was that the work of getting the food in the crock pot was going to make it not worth it. Like, that would be more work than the work on the other side of dealing with the stress of trying to feed my kids or buy food or any of that. Like, I think the perceived work of what am I going to put in the crock pot? Well, then I'm going to have to wash stuff, and then I'm going to chop stuff. Like, all of that leading up to it, in my mind, I think I was making it bigger than it was. So when I sat down and I pulled up, and this is not rocket science, like, I've done this before when my kids were babies and toddlers, I sat down and pulled up easy recipes. And I just followed through, like, pulled up the recipes, got the ingredients, bam. So it took a couple of small steps for me to overcome that barrier. But now that I have these go-to recipes, I know specifically what, whole like 5 ingredients I need for each of them. Again, it's nothing crazy, but I have a very clear vision. And so now that getting food in the crock pot, it doesn't seem hard at all. It seems super easy, and I have a plan. So that's no longer a barrier. So I can just push that out of the way as a barrier, and we can move on and reap the benefits of taking that action step of putting the food in the crock pot. So when I'm working with clients, we dig really, really deep to get to the root cause of why are we resisting that change, and then we work to overcome it. We implement strategies to overcome it. And I'm there to help you do this, because this is something that can be really hard to identify on your own. It's really easy to say things like, I can't go to the gym or I can't work out. I don't care if it's the gym or not, but I can't exercise because I don't have time, or it's really easy to say things like, um, I'm not going to try this because I've tried it before and it didn't work. So those are like superficial forms of resistance. And we want to get down to a layer deeper, and then to a layer deeper, and then to a layer deeper. Because if you don't, that underlying resistance is still going to be there. And when you move on in life, fast forward 6 months, whatever, if you haven't uncovered that root cause of your resistance, you're going to go back to your old habits, right? We have to unveil that. That has to come to the surface so we can really nip it in the bud, just tackle it head on and move forward. Because otherwise, every effort you take, every action you do take is going to be a superficial action that's covering up the problem and moving on. You know what I mean? Like if I just push through and prep dinner, so dinner's prepared beforehand. Like, okay, I might say, okay, whatever, I'll just do it. I'm just gonna push through, get up early, something, make time to prep food so we have dinner on a Wednesday nights. That isn't addressing my subconscious barrier of like, this is a lot of work. This is too much work. We need to get to that, and that belief that this is too much work to get food in the crock pot. Like, we need to address it there and change that instead of it being, okay, this is going to be too much work to take this action step. We peeled all the layers of the onions back and addressed the root cause. Does that make sense? So now moving forward, I'm like, okay, I know what my barrier was to preparing dinner on Wednesday nights. I know the simple, clear action steps that I need to do to overcome it. And now I've reaped the benefit on the other side. So now it's like all of that stuff connects, and it's a no-brainer. And my mind, what I want to do, starts to connect with what I do. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But there's a lot of reasons that we resist change. Change feels scary. And when I say change, I'm meaning action steps or doing things a little bit differently in life. Micro habits, I call them, implementing new micro habits. That can be scary. It's new, it's different. Maybe an example of, again, with my clients, is when we work on the timing of our food. We do a lot of work focused on nutrition timing. And if you're somebody who is used to watching every calorie you put in your mouth, that can feel really scary because it feels like you're eating maybe more than you were used to. So that feels like a loss of control in a sense, or a fear of the unknown. So that is a very legitimate reason that we might resist change. Feel a fear of failure is another one. Like, I've tried these diets before. It's not going to work. I shouldn't even try anymore. There's the fear of failure is a very, very real thing, which I will just throw out there that I don't support any diets. So if you're ever, kind of wondering that, like, what is the best diet to follow in perimenopause, I would say none. Remember, we're going for sustainable, long-lasting change in our lives. And therefore, following too restrictive diets or meal plans can really make that long-term sustainable change difficult. So, but if fear of failure is there, a ripple effect, that is another real one. And that has certainly been a lot of my resistance to taking action for change in my life, is like, if I take this step, I feel like this is going to follow. I feel like this is going to snowball into more. I feel like if I start eating a certain way, my spouse isn't going to be happy. Like, what is that ripple effect? Or I fear if I become this, like, you know, yoga person, somebody's going to make fun of me, whatever. That's a silly example, but it's like, it's a ripple effect. What is going to happen if I start doing this other thing? Um, for me, I'll share a personal example. It was like, okay, if I know I'm going to dive all into my health and my nutrition and my hormones, what am I going to have to give up? That's part of a ripple effect, is a fear of what you have to give up when you take action steps. And it's so conflicting within us because it's like, you want to take these steps to do the right things, but then we also have to give these certain things up. But this is also going to be hard. So then our body is in this whole like disalignment of what we want to do and what we do. So what I recommend, if any of you are struggling, feeling stuck in this place, is starting small. So again, I use that word micro habits. What micro habits can we slowly start to incorporate? Number one, because even if you can get a couple little small habits in place, that is so much better than nothing. Small habits go a very, very long way. So even if you implemented a few and then did nothing else for the rest of your life, we would be grateful for those new small habits, right? But oftentimes what we find is when we establish a new habit that has a positive outcome, we start to do more of them. So that kind of is that spiral effect, but in a good way, right? We want things to, not only we want, but they do spiral in a good way, as far as, hey, I made this change and I feel so much better in this way. Well, what if I even took it a little bit further? What if I took my weight training from once a week for 30 minutes to twice a week for 30 minutes? How much better would I feel? So when we start small, it becomes easier to stack. And as we start reaping the benefit, again, then it continues to be harder to stack. So I wanted to share a couple of just really small things, small action steps that you can take that will make significant, or that will have a significant impact on how you feel in perimenopause. So first one, I actually just kind of said it, but weights. Perimenopause is a time of life, as you know, typically in your 40s, your hormones are doing a lot of changing, your nervous system is doing a lot of changing. This is a time of life where the way that we maybe have worked out or exercised in the past, we might need to reevaluate it. So things like running on the treadmill, ellipticals, your more hardcore cardio classes, we want to start to kind of ease off a little bit on those. Not to say that you can't do them, but they're awful for you. Depending on a lot of factors, there may be a period of time where you should go, completely without them. Again, that would be something that we would address if we were ever working one-on-one together. But very general guidance is what we're going for here. You want to shift a little bit more to the weight training. And the reason for that is because after the age of 40, our muscle cells start breaking down at a much faster rate. So as our muscle cells start to break down, we want to step in and offset that as much as possible. And a way that we help offset that is by increasing our weights. Okay. Protein is another topic, which is, a big topic that we can get into on a different day. But in combination with increasing your weight training, we also want to increase our protein intake. This is all very easier said than done. And I'm staying very surface level right now. So if you guys ever have any questions on any of this or what it would look like for you, definitely reach out. In addition to weights, sunlight is going to be your best friend, but specifically morning sunlight. I cannot stress this one enough. Helping to support your circadian rhythm in perimenopause will take you such a long way. Your body wants to feel good. It wants to follow a cycle. wants to follow a monthly cycle, a daily cycle. Your body is very cyclical. And when you're following a nice normal circadian rhythm with the sunlight as much as possible, it's a hard time of year for that. But as much as you can follow that rhythm, your body is going to really flourish and thrive when it's on that daily routine. So we want to just remind our body that we're on that routine. You can do this by stepping out and putting your face in the sun in the morning. Just getting that sunlight on your body helps reinforce that message to your brain. We're awake, we're going, get moving. So that's just one thing that you can do that is that is um not subconsciously, but that is without you having to like actually do something. Step into sunlight, the sun tells your body what to do. So that's honestly one of the very best things you can do. Just as soon as the sun comes out, go step outside, get the sunlight on your face. Another one is stretching. So those are my two that I live by: morning sunlight and stretching when you're in perimenopause. And daily. These are really good habits to get to on the regular from day to day. And your stretching does not have to be any like 30-minute routine of somebody you follow on YouTube. Your stretching can be 10 minutes while you're sitting by your dog on the floor. It can be 30 minutes while you're, keeping your kid company while they do homework. It can be whatever, while you're watching your favorite show. It doesn't matter. Just getting in, stretching on a daily basis to help move our bones, our joints, our limbs around really does take you a long way. So if I had to pick a couple of tips to share with you right now that you can start doing today, action steps, those would be the ones that I just listed. So increasing your weight training, ideally about 2 to 3 times a week. Again, this is sticking very general. I don't know about your health history or anything like that. Increasing your protein. We have fat, we have carbs. Even if you're not thinking about any of those right now, just focusing on the protein, that morning sunlight, and the daily stretching. Those are some of the most simple ways that you can support your hormones, support your metabolism, and overall just feel your best during perimenopause. And I wanted to highlight these small things because, we're talking about action steps and how it can be really hard to incorporate change. So start low and go slow. Even of these things I listed, pick one, focus on that for a month. And then come January, start the next one. Do that for a while. Wait another month or a couple months, start the next one. So it doesn't have to be big change all at once to really make an impact. It's the small changes that add up over time. And just one last thing to share, and I'll let you guys go. But I recently had a client, we wrapped up after our 12 weeks together, and she was like, I feel like I didn't even change that much, like during all our time together. And or she was saying like, my life doesn't feel all that much different. And I said, yes, that is exactly what we wanted. You've gone through this 12-week experience. These things in your life look different. You have more energy. You're not drinking caffeine all day long, and you still have more energy. All these other positive changes have happened because the shifts that we've made to her day-to-day structure have been so small, and we've built them in a way that she's getting these great results. But it's been small, subtle enough shifts that it's sustainable. She doesn't feel like we did an entire overhaul of her life, that now she's going to have to continue on her own. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that it is very, very doable to implement these small changes that really will make a difference in how you feel. Thank you so much for your time. Don't forget to send in your questions so we can talk about them at a different future hormone chat.